Good morning, welcome, and thank you for attending the Foundation for India Studies third annual Indo-American Heritage event. My name is Krishna Vavilala. I'm the founder of FIS, which stands for Foundation for India Studies, which is celebrating 15 years of service, with this being our final program for the year 2020, which is titled Indian Heritage Through Cuisine, Culture, and Spices. In fulfilling our mission to bridge India's heritage to mainstream America, we have introduced several legacy projects during the past 15 years, starting with the India Studies program at the University of Houston and the Indo-American Oral History projects and the distinguished lecture series involving in several distinguished speakers from various fields for arts, sciences, and politics. And that is to connect our foundation and the Indo-American community, the mainstream America. In executing the legacy projects, we had obtained agreements of cooperation with several public institutions like the Baylor University, Waco, South Asian American Digital Archives of Philadelphia, and Houston City Public Library, and last but not the least, the Houston Community College. I would like to share the recent proclamation by City of Houston Sylvester Turner. This goes like this. Whereas on December 19, 2020, the Foundation for India Studies Incorporated will celebrate its 15th anniversary in conjunction with third annual Indo-American Heritage Day observance. The City of Houston appreciates and commends the Foundation for India Studies for continuing to enrich and enhance the knowledge about India's culture and culinary arts and extends best wishes for a rewarding celebration. Therefore, I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proclaim December 19, 2020 as the Foundation for India Studies Incorporated Day, Third Heritage Day, and 15th anniversary. Now, today's program celebrates India's heritage in the culinary world. Our moderator for this event is Ms. Kumud Pulijal. Ms. Pulijal is a retired microbiologist and a virologist. She is a long-term Houstonian, having worked for Benton General Hospital for the past 15 years. She is a current board member of FIS. Please welcome Kumud Pulijal and enjoy the event.
Good morning and namaste, and thank you, Mr. Krishna Vavilala. We are indeed very pleased to have Chef Mayank Istwal today. And what better way to spend a cold winter morning, Saturday morning, in this up and down pandemic and sniffing or imaginary sniffing of Indian spices and Indian culinary journey. And we want to, and how cool is it that today, being December 19th, 2020, the very day the mayor of Houston, Mr. Sylvester Turner, has proclaimed this as FIS Day. Awesome. And just the goal of this event is to take us through the journey of India through cuisine and culture, and it'll be an incredible journey, I promise you. And briefly to discuss the format of the event, initially, Chef Mayank will be discussing few aspects like history of the cuisine, history of the spices and the varieties of rice, and his own culinary journey with us. And then it'll be followed by a wonderful and very appropriate hot butternut squash soup recipe presentation by Chef Mayank. And after the video, we can answer the questions of the attendees. If you have any questions, you can be typing it in as the program is progressing, and Chef Mayank will answer them at the end of the program. So I hope everybody got the gist of the format. And let me introduce the stalwart of the Indian cuisine, the chef Mayank Istwal. He hails from Dehradun, Uttarakhand, India, and he's a graduate of the Indian Culinary Institute of Guwahati. And he has won a chef competition sponsored by NCHMT of New Delhi, India. And he has a stellar resume, let me tell you. He has worked at Devigar Hotel in Udaipur and all the Lalit and Taj groups, very esteemed groups. And he has trotted all over the globe in Australia and on the sea. And on the sea, let me tell you, being the chef on the P&O cruise lines and the Salt and Grill, the fine dining cuisine. And without much more ado, let me welcome Chef Mayank Istwal, who has embarked on his latest project in a wonderful and new restaurant called Musaafer in Houston, Texas. Welcome, Chef Mayank Istwal, and good morning to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, namaskar to everybody. I'm really glad, representing my culture, Indian culture, and my roots through my food. This is the best thing I could ask for. So thank you for having me for Foundation for India Studies. Yes, absolutely.
It is indeed our pleasure. And let's start with the incredible history of the Indian spices. This brings me to my 8th grade social studies classes, where we learned that Vasco da Gama of Portugal had come and opened the southern tip of India in quest of spices. And of course, we know Columbus lost his way in the sea and ended up in the Americas in the quest of spices. So spices were really very sought after in the European countries, and that led to the world history. So can you enlighten us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me first tell you about my interaction with the very popular spice and very famous spice that changed the history of the world, called the black pepper. So my first interaction with this spice was my mom used to make me a pulao, I remember, while growing up. And I used to hate the spice itself, but I used to just pick out the spice and, from the pulao and,
the
but
black
sometimes
pepper.
Black pepper, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes accidentally you bite into it and you don't have a very good mouthfeel about it. And I used to tell myself, man, I don't like this spice. But, afterwards, I started picking up cooking, I started working with my dad in his catering business. So I started loving that spice, and then when I went to the culinary school, and when I started reading about the spice, then I got a shock, like this spice changed the world history. Oh, wow. Then I have to read more about it. My interaction, began more and more with the spices. It started with the black pepper, and then it's a never ending thing. So for me, like spices are like living things. And, the history dates back in the Indian, if you see all the Sanskrit medical volumes, Ayurvedas, it's been mentioned about different varieties of spices. But you will be amazed that for the longest time, it was the long pepper that was more popular than black pepper. Black pepper really got popular after like 14th and 15th century. It was popular, but not as popular as the long pepper. And long pepper comes from the northern eastern part of India. So that was popular for the longest time for the traders. Then, you also find mentions of the spices in the Mesopotamian civilization, in the Egyptian civilization. Then, if I have to talk about spices, then it was Egyptian used to use like 3,500 years ago. Then Greek traders, they used to take it from the Arab merchants, and So they were the middlemen. And when Romans found out that the spices are coming through the Arab merchants, so they wanted to cut the Arabs out of the trade
Cut the
monopoly.
middleman out. Yeah.
Yes, and middlemen out, and then they found a route through the Red Sea to India. That was in the beginning of the 4th and 5th century. And
that's
then,
the Romans. That's the Romans.
They did, yes,
Yeah.
And they did it. And after that, there was, the trade of the spices were like it was so expensive. People were making money in it. It's unbelievable that the people who were involved in the spice trade, specifically the sailors and the dock workers, their pockets were like Susan to prevent from stealing. Can you believe it? That they do not steal any black pepper and other spices. So that was the kind of legacy that the black pepper and the other spices had. And then
wasn't black pepper called the black gold?
Exactly, it was known as the black gold. Like, you're absolutely right. And you will see even Marco Polo mentioned about different varieties of spices when he was there in this Orient, and he was there for 25 years. And he wrote about it. Then the age of exploration started, and then the Portuguese and the Dutch and the French.
No,
and
all these sailors were bankrolled by the monarchs of of the countries of their origin.
Yes, and they to just come to India to find this the spice route, and it was through the sea. And what happened, how America was founded. It's a very popular story. Everybody knows that Christopher Columbus, he was an Italian hired by the Spaniards, lost his way completely to India, and he landed up here in Bahamas and West Indies. And when he came here, he thought that he was in India. And that's the reason the natives here are known as Indians. Yeah. And but after some time, when he started talking to the natives, he realized that he's a completely wrong place. So there is no black pepper here. And, he found the chilies here. And chili at that point of time was a fruit in the 14th century. And because he was looking for the black pepper. Yeah. And started thinking about the Spaniards, that they invested a lot of money in him, like a big ship and a big crew. So what he's going to do now? So what he did, he took the black peppers, the chilies from him,
peppers,
and he called it pepper. He gave a new name to the chilies. And because of that, the entire confusion of the chili and the pepper started.
The new nomenclature.
Yes, and then if you see, both the plants are so different from each other. That is pepper. The black pepper is the pepper negrum, and if you talk about the chili family, it's the capsicum. So both the plants' scientific names are different, but just because he was looking for black pepper, he tricked everybody, just calling it pepper, and then the confusion started.
Chili peppers,
spicy and the chili hot, and then these times are like weird. I suddenly I see a lot of people coming in the restaurant and talking like, "Oh my God, can you make my food less spicy or more spicy?" I tell them, "Man, I make my food flavorful. For me, spicy is flavorful. How can I make my flavorful food less flavorful?" So that's something that we need to do it right now. I think this is a beautiful platform. Like,
yes,
exactly.
And
chili hot food. So.
The spice is not the same as the chili ness.
Exactly. So different. Hot. Yes.
Hot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That adds a different. Each spice, I think, adds a different dimension to the flavor. And
exactly. Yes. You're right. Absolutely. And there are different kinds of pepper as well. If you see there's black pepper, and from black pepper, the same plant, you get the white pepper, the green pepper as well. The same with different stages when you cultivate the pepper, basically. And that's one. Now, there is another pepper, as I mentioned, the long pepper. So long pepper is amazing. It looks beautiful. There's a sweetness to it, and a little bit biting effect at the end. So I love the long pepper comes from northern eastern part of India. Yes. Now there you have the Szechuan pepper. Now people think that Szechuan pepper is also the pepper family, but it's a myth. It's a different plant altogether. Yes, it's a different plant altogether. Szechuan pepper, and then we also have the varieties of Szechuan pepper in India. So if we go to the coastal belt of India, specifically the western coast of India, you have a trefoil. Trefoil is also the family of Szechuan pepper. And when you hit the Himalayan mountains from the north to the northern eastern part of India, is basically the Temur peppercorns. And even they are known as like peppercorns now, but they're nothing to do with the pepper family. It's very different, but it is again falls under the same family of Szechuan pepper. And then you have paradise pepper that comes from the western part of Africa, and that was a substitute for the Dark Ages. So Dark Ages were from 5th century to 10th century, almost in Europe, and they were not having enough peppers, the black peppers, to spice up their food. And what happened? A lot of these peppers actually, what did these pepper did? They made its way to Europe in the Dark Ages, and it became really popular at that point of time. And because there was no black pepper, so that's the reason this is not a Dark Ages, but there were no pepper and spice to spice
so
up the
it's
food.
bland
So
food, and then they had to, and they would enhance with this. Yes. Now, talking about moving on to other spices, tell us about, I know there is a very famous spice market in New Delhi.
Curry Bavli.
Curry Bavli.
Curry
Tell us
Bavli,
about that.
So when I first went to Curry Bavli, it was amazing. So Curry Bavli basically literally translate, if you see the curry, and the Bavli is a well. The name is very simple. That doesn't translate to the spice market.
What happens there?
Yes, but what happens there is, every day there's a different rate for. It's like a stock market. Every day there's a different rate for every single spice. And it totally depends on the demand and supply of the spices from different spice growers in India. So if you see the prices of the black pepper getting down, so there is a reason why it is, because there's a lot of supply of the black pepper, and sometimes the prices go up because maybe in the Malabar coast, the spice plantation, they were affected with something. So it totally depends on different factors, and it's an amazing market. You see in the morning, you walk around the lanes, and so you see array of spices. It's unbelievable.
So it's like any other commodity. The prices go up and down by supply and demand, and or just it reminds me of the seafood market in Japan, where they, early morning, the restaurateurs, everybody goes there, and
and they the price, and it is the biggest spice market in entire Asia.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
So I know that they kind of adjust the supply and the demand, and if the supply is low, they'll go to other areas and kind of they forecast the supply.
So there are other so like, just as we are talking about the black pepper, so you also get black pepper from Indonesia. You also get black pepper from Cambodia. Even Cambodia's black also very. So they also get black pepper from different parts, like cinnamon. They get cinnamon from Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka grows one of the best cinnamons in the world. Then if I talk about the black cardamom and the green cardamom, it's native to India. And the green cardamom comes from Coorg, from Kerala, all the spice plantations, and of course from Goa as well. Ponda is the place. And the black pepper, it's the black cardamom, comes from the northern part of India, from the eastern part of India. So specifically Sikkim, if I have to name the place. So all these make their way into the market.
Speaking about medicinal values of the spices, I know the green cardamom has a cooling effect, and it's grown in the southern part, where it's southern part of India, where it's more hotter climate. Versus the black cardamom, which has a warming kind of a quality, and is grown in the cooler northern part of the country. So tell us more about this Ayurvedic and this medicinal values of these spices. I'm sure the audience would be very interested.
Oh, yes. So if I have to talk about Ayurveda, my interaction with Ayurveda was when my grandfather, he was practicing Ayurveda after his retirement. He was a doctor. And I remember he teaching me about Ayurveda, and I picked up his journal and started reading about it. And I was so fascinated with the Ayurvedic medicine. And of course, I was really into food and spices. So there are so many spices that are used in the Ayurvedic medicine, and that's amazing. how it all works. And according to Ayurvedic philosophy, the entire cosmos, in an interplay of the energies of the five elements, is basically the space, the air, the water, and earth. And there are three doshas: vata, pitta, and kapha. So it works according to the permutation and the combinations of all these five different elements. And it's amazing. It's in the physical body, you have the vata. That's the subtle energy, of the moment. And then pitta is the energy of the digestion and the metabolism. And the kapha is the energy that forms the body and the structure. So it depends in what time of the year you're consuming the spices. So how I blend my spices is, so imagine we are in the summers. So summers, your body needs a lot of cooling. So you need to incorporate a lot of cooling spices in your diet, specifically like green cardamom, as you mentioned. Then you have fennel seeds. Then you have saffron. You can include like cumin as well. You can include all these spices in your diet.
I didn't know saffron has a cooling effect.
Oh, saffron definitely has a cooling effect too.
That's interesting to know.
Oh, yes. And then if I talk about the warming spices, the garam masala, the myth of the garam masala, people use garam masala like entire year. So all these spice blends, how it has to be used according to the science of the spice, the characteristics of the spice, and the nature of the spice. So I know that specifically from the northern part of India, it's very cold. So people include a lot of garam masala in their diet. But imagine in the southern part of India where it's hot and humid. So I recommend people to use a lot of cooling spices in their food. So garam masala is only meant for the winters, if you see. And because if you do the medicine wrong, because spices are medicinal, so you get heartburns. Imagine in the summers you're consuming a garam masala. It'll definitely give you heartburns and digestive issues as well. So Ayurveda plays a very important role. It's a science in itself. So, but that's what we do in our restaurant at Musaafer. We blend our spices right. We specifically make sure that we are preparing our spices traditionally and the traditional way, and keeping the health aspects of the spices alive and doing it seasonal. Yes.
I see. Still talking about spices, I know one of your pet peeves is murder of spices.
Oh, wow.
So teach all of us how to properly process these spices.
Okay, so let me talk about the murder of the spice. So I have seen like murder of spice is like killing the spice, and you don't kill the spice like once or twice. It's like 3 times sometimes. So how people used to blend the spices was, they used to take a pan, they used to put all the different spices without realizing the surface area of the spice. Imagine you're making garam. Yes, you are taking cinnamon that is bigger in the surface area, and cumin is too small, and for that matter, the black pepper. So it's like a stampede on a pan. Poor spices which are smaller in the surface area, they die straight. And then the heat of the pan, it basically kills the essential aromas and the essential oil of the spices. And then that's the first murder right there. And I used to tell my mom, it takes a lot of talent to kill a dead body again. And you have that. And then she used to grind it. Mix the grinder. And the mixed grinder, the heat of the blade again.
True. I never looked at it that way.
That's the second murder right there. And then people say that and then they used to preserve those ashes in the bottles, and they call it, oh, it's my home recipe of the garam masala. And it was totally
ashes. I like that.
So back in the time, it used to be under the sun, specific time of the day. And then we used to, blend it or grind it in pestle mortar. I think that's the best way to do it.
But what would you recommend in current times? Like how roast the spices separately, each one separately at different heat settings?
You can still do that, but the pan should not be hot. It's just that, people like to smoke the spices literally. That is already killed on the pan. It's very little
subtle heat.
Yes, that's it. Or under the lamp. If you have a lamp, you put it under a distance, and you do it like I do it in my kitchens.
So
that's the best way to...
The heat lamp, right?
Heat lamp.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. That's a good point to note, And I know before you embarked on your current project, I'm told that you had taken up a 100-day journey to the 29 states of India.
Yeah.
And I know these spices are available right now, with the trade and the transportation and everything. All spices are available everywhere in India, in
Yeah.
all states. So but the cuisines of the states are different. So how do they incorporate these? What have you found in your journey? How are these spices incorporated in different cuisines in different states?
Yeah. So it was a beautiful project, a 100-day journey sponsored by Musaafer. And I would really like to thank, on this platform, Mr. and Mrs. Malik, the owners of the Spice Route company,
Yes.
company who own Musaafer as well. So I remember we met in Bangalore, and this idea popped up for going on a journey, and it was so amazing. I'm really thankful to them, and it opened up my my knowledge about different spices and of course different cuisines. So I remember we started with Maharashtra, and we realized that Maharashtra has like 10 different kind of cuisines. It's amazing, the Konkani cuisine, then you have the the Marathwada, and then you have cuisine from so Malvan. My wife comes from Malvan, and like so many different kind of community cuisine are there. I was amazed, like, oh my god, there's so many different cuisine in just one state. And then I went to Kerala, and Kerala was amazing, like so touching Kerala was of course is the home for black pepper. So we started with Kerala, the southern tip of Kerala, Trivandrum, and went all the way up to Palagat in Kerala itself. So we found like so many different cuisines over there. First was the Syrian Christian cuisine, that was amazing, and fish molly was something. The molly that they make, the Syrian Christians, is amazing. So all my life I made molly like yellow in color using turmeric. But my eyes opened when I saw the molly first time. It was white. They said we always make it white. We never use turmeric. So there's a lot of misconceptions about so many dishes. But of course, turmeric is medicinal, so people try to put turmeric.
Yes, and now it's world renowned. Everybody's trying to take turmeric in the form of a tablet, and
So that's amazing. And then you have this, as I said, the Jewish cuisine in Kerala. Then you have the Mapala cuisine of the Muslims. Imagine in a rice-eating state, how you find the bread like parotas, patiris, and everything. It is because the influence of the Muslim sailors which came in, and their cuisine, we accepted it. So it is the Mapala cuisine that is very popular over there. And then if I talk about Andhra Pradesh, one of my favorite places, the chili growing region, it is the highest producer of chilies. The Guntur and
Guntur. That's the hottest chilies they have.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, the kind of science that works in there, they control the Scoville unit. The Scoville unit is like the capsicum, the capsin of the
pepper.
Chilies. Yes,
chilies.
See,
there I'm saying peppers, chilies.
Take some time to, So, I was amazed that, and we picked up a beautiful dish from there, and then we loved it so much. So these are like a moong dal, like a moong dal, like pancakes, and we wanted to incorporate that into our menu. So it's like the pesarat.
Pesarat, yes.
Yes, it's amazing how, and people feel it's a treat for the vegetarians.
Yes.
And then I would like to mention Karnataka now. The spice gardens in Coorg. And
oh my, yes.
Mangalore, oh my God, it was so amazing. The fish curries in Mangalore, even the chicken curry, and then the neer dosa, the ghee roast. It's a long list. If I have to talk about now Kashmir, going up in the north, the Vazwan. For me, it was a highlight of my journey. And they grow saffron. That's the only state in India that grows saffron. But saffron is not that much used in there. It is it is used in Gujarat and Rajasthani cuisine so much.
But they use it in desserts.
A little bit desserts and the chai. But the food in Kashmir was breathtaking. A lot of meat. You have the gustavas, the tabak mas, that you see, and in the whole tradition of Vazwan was amazing. So I really love having a great Vazwan. You know, I tried
Amazing.
three different kind Vazwan, and the Vaza was a chef, and that was amazing. That was a beautiful eye opener for me. And if I have to talk about the northern eastern part of India, so Northeast, I will definitely want to touch Northeast as well. So Assam and Meghalaya. So when I was in Meghalaya, there was a dish called Donyong. So that is with the black sesame pork dish. Amazing. It's still my mouth waters when I talk about that dish. It was so amazing. How they use the black sesame with turmeric and make that dish too good. And then of course again a black sesame preparation, the tildia murgi and aloo pitika that comes from Assam, where I went to the culinary school. Amazing food over there. And then not to forget the Bengal. So Bengal was a different cuisine. Mishti doi, the land of Mishti
Yeah,
doi.
Mishti.
And
Yes.
of course, desserts. But surprisingly, if you see the dessert in the eastern part of India are made by using the milk and separating the milk.
Like
And
your
if you go to
rasagola,
you
sandesh,
separate the milk, the technique. The moment you move towards the western part of India, the Rajasthan, all the desserts are made with the reduced milk. So you separate the yeast and you make a
like
dessert
rabdi and all that. Yeah.
It's amazing how it works.
Yeah.
So that I think that was an amazing journey, for like 100-day journey that I did. Yes.
Wonderful. Now, from spices, moving to the rice eaten all over the world. I know there are different kinds of rice, but in your journey in the 29 states of India, I'm sure the cuisines call for different types of rice. Like of course, basmati is the king of rice. No contest there. But what about this now the new grains, sona masoor, and all this other? Can you elaborate on these rice and?
Yes, of course. So I would definitely like to talk about the origin of the basmati because basmati grows in Dehradun. Actually, that's the home for the basmati. And why it's so aromatic is it has a very beautiful popcorn smell, like your butter popcorn smell. And when it's raw, it smells like jasmine and sandalwood. So because of the Himalayan rivers,
that's natural. That's natural. Not infused or anything.
Not infused anything. That's very natural because of the tributaries of Ganga and
Alaknanda,
Alaknanda, everything. So the water brings out a lot of minerals, and then that is used in the irrigation, and that's the reason the basmati is so amazing, and it gets the perfect soil type, and So I come from that place, so I'm very proud that we have like the best basmati in the world.
You're indeed blessed. Yeah.
And then, of course, the Ambe Mohar rice from Maharashtra, that is also very popular. Then the Chamba rice from the East India, then the Dubraj from MP and the Chhattisgarh is very good. Then Govind Bhog from West Bengal was amazing. The Poni rice developed by the Tamil Nadu government in 1986. Oh, it is perfect for the idli and the dosa batter. Nothing can beat it.
Is it like sticky rice? Sticky rice?
Oh, yes. Sticky rice is amazing. It's
and short-grained? Short-grained, yeah.
Yes, and then the Palakkad Matta rice, that is iconic of Kerala. Then Kapuni Arishi, that's the black rice that comes from Chettinad region of Tamil Nadu. And
is that something like a wild rice that we get here in the US?
Oh, that's totally different, actually. And then you have the black Manipuri rice. That's like Chako. Abhyumi, that is also very popular. The sticky black rice, very good for making a lot of beautiful desserts, like specifically kheer. When I first tasted kheer in the northern eastern part of India, it was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing. Believe me. So there are different kinds of rice, and we use it a lot in Musaafer, like different varieties.
Different varieties of rice.
Yes.
I do have one question about basmati rice.
Oh, yes.
I remember growing up as a child. I hail from Hyderabad, India. And, it has a lot of Mughal and Muslim influence because we had a Muslim ruler, Nizam. And so the cuisine is definitely influenced. The basmati rice that we used to get in those days, it was mainly used for pulao and long grain for the mainstay. And the aroma, I mean, like even from a distance, you can smell if the basmati rice is being cooked. It's not so from the basmati rice that you find these days? What is the difference? Did they infuse flavors back then, or the grain itself is different? And now we call this now the fake basmati. The long grain is there, the texture is there, but definitely not the aroma.
Oh yes. So there are a lot of hybrids and different varieties of basmati that you see all around. So what I like to spill the beans right here.
Okay.
There is a company called Rice Tech in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to patent the basmati.
I see.
And they call it Texmati, and there is another company.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Kalmati. So these were the two rice which came into the picture in the 90s, and then when Indian government realized, oh my God, we have not patented our own rice. Believe me, there were like 5,000 people outside the embassy protesting, and they said, we want the patent of the basmati rice in India.
And rightfully so.
And finally we did it in 2000. So if you say,
oh my God,
like 90 years ago, like that's unbelievable. So how
it talks of innocent ages. You just go with the flow, and don't think about patent, and
exactly, and that's what it is. The why the basmati rice is best from Dehradun is because, as I said, because of the water from the Himalayan rivers. And you get amazing rice in Punjab as well, because beautiful irrigation facilities. It's a land of fire, amazing rice. Even Haryana grows amazing basmati rice. So we have different regions which grows basmati rice, and why it was so amazing back in the time, because it was growing organically, and there were no pesticides being used. So of course, my mother used to tell me that you know what Uncle Anita is making basmati. I used to ask her, how do you know that? Because her house was like 500 meters away. She said, because the smell of the pressure cooker. So the smell.
the whiffs of basmati rice coming,
Yeah.
And what about they say that the longer, the more aged the rice, the better.
The better it gets. Yes.
Better. Just like wine, vintage.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yes. 2 years.
That applies even to regular rice, right? The older the rice is, the better the quality and the better the grain, and
exactly.
So that applies to basmati also, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. We generally, if you see Dehraduni basmati, it's generally aged 2 years, 1 year. You get different basmatis in the market. And I remember growing up, my grandfather used to pick out the 2 years basmati aged, and for our guests, he said, let's eat this today. So it was very special for us.
I know.
So,
very, very fond. So he would say if some special guest, manpasandi guest, he's one of his favorite guests come, he would say, bring in the 3-year-old basmati or 5-year-old. And if somebody is not his favorite, just do 1-year-old. Just like the wines,
in the afternoon, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know about basmati rice also, that you age. Do you age in barrels and stuff like that? Or
if we have barrels to age it, yes, of course. And then there are jute bags on top. How they infuse them, and then we used to put the mango woods on top, the dried mango woods, and then we used to close the drum.
Oh,
I remember.
So that flavor would be infused like a little.
A little bit, yes. The mango wood flavors as well. Depends which region of Dehradun you come from. We used to use them.
Okay.
Very traditional.
Very, very interesting. Just like, when they grill here, they use the cedar wood or the apple wood, and
Oh, yes.
So those flavors are infused into the cooking.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know about. Aging, that's one factor, and then flavoring with these different woods by putting them on the top.
Oh, yeah.
Ancestors are incredible, I would say.
Oh,
about
amazing tradition, our culture.
Food is still a journey of history, and still going on, and with the new technology and everything. Absolutely. And how did you choose Houston? My quintessential question: how did you choose Houston to come and establish here?
As I said, it's because of Mr. and Mrs. Malik. Actually, they were hunting for a chef, and they wanted to open a restaurant here because they own like a couple of restaurants in Lagos, Nigeria, and Nigeria is an oil economy.
Yes.
And even is an oil economy. So a lot of people, they used to travel from Texas to Nigeria, Nigeria to Texas. So they wanted, a lot of people, they said, to Mr. and Mrs. Malik, that you should open a restaurant in Houston. And this is how the idea originated. And then
so this Houston also being oil economy, and so there were a lot of travelers going back and forth from Nigeria to here. I see.
Here. And that's the reason when they came to India. So I remember meeting them in Bangalore. I gave them a beautiful chef tasting, and they are true foodies. Believe me, when you meet them, they can talk about food all day long. So that connected, actually. They are passionate people. And that's the reason we all three connected, and we wanted to, bring the authentic Indian cuisine to Houston, like cuisine of India, 29 states, not specifically North Indian or South Indian, like cuisine of real India, all 29 different states. And that's how the idea of the 100-day journey originated. And now we are here in Musaafer, and we roll out, we change the menu every season. We change the spices every season. We change the recipes every season. So that's the best part about. And through this platform, I would request people who have not dined in yet, please make your bookings now, because believe me, this will be an experience for you guys.
While we're talking about Musaafer and your spice blends, let me jump a little bit back. And what about the curry powder? Mulhatani soup. These are on the vocabulary of all world foodies. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
The Mulhatani soup is basically the national soup of India and Sri Lanka too. And why the lentil soup became so popular? Because of the British. So it is from the Anglo-Indian era. So Britishers had a lot of Tamilian cooks cooking for, and they used to cook the dal and the lentils all the time. And they a specific spice blend all the time. So the spice blend used to change every season. And so to make more, so they took it to England and they started calling it curry powder. And this is how curry powder got its name. But so there is no such spice blend in India, but now curry powder has become so popular, and the use of the curry leaves and the black pepper and different varieties of pepper, so different variety of spices coming together, making it a curry powder. They are like 21 to 32 different spices that is blended together to make curry powder, and it really got popular. And Madras curry powder was born with the Mulligatawny soup, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with that, shall we move to the video presentation where you showcase all the recipes, and you showcase the spices and butternut squash soup. It's the best for the winter, and it's very time appropriate on this cold winter morning. And
good morning, guys. My name is Chef Mayank Istwal. I work for Musaafer, Houston, and I'm gonna show you this beautiful recipe of curry pumpkin soup. For this recipe, the main ingredient or the main thing is the spice blend that we make. That is the curry powder or the Madras curry powder. To make that, we have this beautiful spices right here. So I have like cilantro seed, like 10 tablespoons. Then I have the cumin seeds, that is 5 tablespoons. Then I have the black pepper, the Tellicherry black pepper, the best pepper in the world. I have 5 tablespoons. Then I have the fenugreek seeds, it is 5 tablespoons again. Then I have 50 numbers of cardamom green. Then I have fennel seed, that is 1 tablespoon. Then I have some few cinnamon sticks. Then I have some mustard seeds. I have chew bay leaf, some cloves, curry leaves for sure, because we are making the curry powder. And then best chilies in the world, my favorite, Kashmiri chilies. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the traditional way, pestle and mortar, and I'm gonna put the coriander seeds or the cilantro seeds and start blending them in. And I will finish it, the entire spice blend, with the fried curry leaves, because the oil in the curry leaves will preserve the spice blend for a longer amount of time. This is how we used to preserve the spices back in the time. The bigger oil of the curry leaves will preserve the spice. So generally I make a bigger batch. It'll be like 2.5 cups of the spice. Good to go for the entire season. Now start making the spice. I'm just crushing these coriander seeds right away. So I'll just crush all the spices one by one. Now we have the spice blend ready, the Madras curry powder. I'm still grinding it. I think this is perfect. I'm gonna put this in my wooden bowl. I love this spice. The smell of the spice is so good, so aromatic. One of my favorite spice blends. Now, with the pumpkin, my favorite is the butternut squash. I have like 2 pounds of butternut squash cubed. I'm gonna throw it in the baking tray. Then some garlic, some cloves of garlic. Onions is like 2 tablespoons of chopped onions, red onions. Then some leeks, like 2 tablespoons of leeks. Then I have 1 tablespoon of celery sticks sliced. I'm gonna mix like a spoon of brown sugar. Of course, the Madras curry powder, like a tablespoon of it. And some salt. And in the end, just to marinate it well, I have some olive oil. Generous amount of olive oil. Then I'm gonna mix everything together. Believe me, this soup is really delicious, and this is perfect for the season. You know, I've seen people drinking pumpkin spice latte. You know what's better than a soup, like a fresh soup? A butternut squash, super buttery, amazing. I'm gonna mix it now very well, and I have set my oven at 300 degree Fahrenheit. I'm gonna pop this straight in for 1.5 hours, slow roasting. Then I'm gonna put the 300 degree Fahrenheit. Here goes the timing, 1.5 hour. Perfect. Okay, so we have our roasted squash ready. Oh, perfect. Smells so good. Wow. This is nicely roasted. Then I'm gonna put that in the blender. Everything. Oh my god. It smells so good. I'm gonna pop it in. Wow. Now I'm gonna blend this super fine. It's very important. We get the nice puree ready. It's like evenly roasted. You see the caramelized butternut squash is because of the brown sugar and the slow roasting process. Perfect. I want to take everything in. Yeah. Then I'm gonna lock the jar, put it in the Thermomix, and put this thing on. Okay, so my puree is ready. Oh, it looks so good. I'm gonna cook the puree, and I'll save a little bit for the garnish of the soup. This is a very cool equipment, Thermomix. I love this equipment. So this is the puree ready. I've saved a little bit right here for my garnish. It's like 1/4 cup. I'm gonna put some heavy cream in it to make it more creamier, delicious, and then I'm gonna cook on an induction pan. And I'm gonna throw in some Madras curry powder to increase the flavor. This soup is divine, guys. Wow. See how it changes color? Now you see beautiful roasted squash mixed with cream, and of course the color is enhanced by the Madras curry powder. Wow. I'll let it cook for some time, bring it to boil and then simmer for some time. So I have my soup ready. I just finished it. Looks amazing. Remember we saved some puree, and I'm gonna plate my soup now. It's always good to plate your soup, to show the journey of the soup, what goes in. That's my roasted squash puree. Then some roasted pumpkin seeds. Throw it on the edges. Then a little bit of the curry spice, a little bit more. And then, of course, the soup to be poured. So we have so many different ingredients right here. Then we pour the soup. Guys, this is amazing. It's a thick pureed soup. Perfect for the season, fall season, guys.
That was amazing, and definitely going to try that. And all the attendees, by the way, will receive this recipe in their email, just FYI. And now to take some questions from our viewers. The first and a very important question is from Mr. Jay Malhotra from Houston. Which rice, we discussed various rice types, which rice is most suitable for diabetics? I know it's carbohydrate laden, but in your opinion, is there any particular rice that's better than the others varieties?
So I would recommend to have the wild rice sometimes, the black rice.
Wild rice.
That comes from the southern part of India. Arushi
but that's
rice.
not available in Houston, though.
That's not available in Houston. So you know what? I think it will be available from next year. And also the red rice. If we can have that, even that is amazing. So
okay.
The
unpolished rice. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Malhotra, for your question. I have another question from Mr. Ignacio Cel Aguirre. I hope I said that right. As a chef in Houston, what do you think of the similarities or the disparity between Indian and Mexican cuisine? Mexican cuisine also is very popular in Texas.
I would first touch base the similarities, because I was in Mexico City for 3.5 months. So doing my research, and imagine we have the chutneys, right? So and then Mexican people, they have the salsas, similar.
Salsas, yeah.
Then we have the naan bread. Then we also have rotis, and they have the tortillas, similar. Then we have the papad, and they have talayudas. So talayudas are like crispy, or the tostadas, I would say.
Tostadas. Yeah.
So if you make the masala papad, it becomes talayuda. And if you just if you just keep the tostadas, it's like papad. So it's very similar. And we have curries, different varieties, and they have moles. Yeah. So if I have to track back, like so many different similarities.
Yes. And a final question that's from Ms. Sushma Ban. What is your most favorite vegetarian or non-vegetarian dish, that you have encountered and enjoyed?
Oh, I remember it was in Kashmir, haksa. Vegetarian, if I say, that is top on my list. I love it. So it's hard to find here, but I'm still searching.
I'm sure you can whip it up,
And if for the non-vegetarian dish, I would say lal mas.
Lal mas.
From Rajasthan. Okay. It's really, really good because of the mathania chilies being used. Okay. It's amazing.
Okay.
These are two, if you ask me, these are my two favorite dishes. Absolutely.
I see. Yeah. Also, another question was from about types of Rajasthani, types of peppers available in Rajasthan.
Hmm. Oh, so as I just said, best chilies is Mathania chilies that comes from Rajasthan. So Mathania
Rajasthan.
is a
Okay.
village near Jodhpur, actually, and that's the chilies that are used for making lal mas. So the best part about this chilies is it's good, it's vibrant in color, but more you cook with the meat, it gets sweeter.
Mhm.
It's amazing how it works.
Hmm.
You have to cook the chilies for a longer amount of time, and it has that nice sweetness at the end when you
Is it
cook it for.
sweetness paired with the spice with the capsule, or is it just it
Just the
reduces
cooking
the
with the
capsule?
oil and the fat of the lamb, and
Mhm.
it just turns sweet at the end. You still have the biting effect of the chilies, of course, but it
Mhm.
has that certain sweetness to it. That's the effect of Mathania chili.
Mhm.
Almas, yeah.
I have another question. I know Houston is very cosmopolitan, and it has many Indian restaurants.
Mhm.
Uh, and this question again is from Mr. Malhotra. It was a continuation of the diabetic rice question. How different is the Musafir food? Do you showcase all the foods of all the states in India? How different is it from other Indian restaurants?
So the uniqueness about our restaurant is, of course, the cuisine that we represent, Indian cuisine, and it is, as I said, 29 states, and you will see in the menu.
Mhm.
It's so diverse. The menu itself is very diverse. We are trying to bring in those recipes, the lost recipes that was never talked about. They were never in the mainstream of the restaurants. And as I said, it's not a North Indian restaurant. It's not a South Indian restaurant. It is the restaurant of India.
India.
Of India, 29 states. We try to do seasonal menus all the time. When we opened, we started with the summer season menu. Then we switched to the monsoon season, and we recently launched our winter menu. It's amazing. People will be blown the kind of the recipes we are bringing to the table, and of course the presentation style. And we always believe in the sensory experience of the food. So
Yes.
it's all about while you taste the food, it smells good, it tastes good, and and we play with different textures. The moment you put in imagine some crispy element in it, the snap of that crispness, the nice sound that is made,
Mm.
you know eat with your eyes first, beautiful looking, taste good, smell good, and the textures in that noise that is made, it's amazing. It comes in harmony together.
And
That's
of
the.
course, yes. And of course, I cannot conclude this program without mentioning about your spectacular presentation, which is also such an important element in the food experience.
Yeah.
Your presentations are indeed very spectacular. First it excites your eyes, then your nose and your senses, and then your tingling taste buds. So that's a full circle of
Oh
the
yeah,
of the
absolutely.
culinary experience.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we thank you very much. We thank you very much for your time, Chef Mayank Istwal, and we are indeed very enlightened about the spices and the rice, and through you we enjoyed the journey historically and in the spice world and through the states of India and the various rich cuisines of the 29 states. We thank you very much, Chef Mayank, and we also thank all the audience for taking time in this Saturday morning, cutting into your weekend. But hopefully, we inspired you to make a butternut squash soup today in this wintry morning. And we look forward to seeing you for our future programs. And we thank you. And here is Kumut Pulijal signing off for today. Have a great weekend and happy holidays. And hopefully, we'll get out of this pandemic sooner than later. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.